Today, I'm excited to go live with my mentee Tramayne to talk about her $18,000 plus salary increase, renewed confidence, and industry transition through the strategy she learned in the Mentor Me Accelerator. As a mentor, I could not be more proud of the transformation that Tramayne experienced in the program and just her continued commitment to show up for herself in her career. She is a professional woman who came to me with immense skills, with immense expertise, and was clear about what she wanted out of our mentorship relationship. And I'm just so excited to introduce her to you all and have her share her story. So I think that she is in the room. Hey, Tramayne.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Tramayne. Hello. It's so good to
Me
see
too.
you. I'm so excited.
How
for
are
today's
you?
Live. I am so good, and I'm so excited to just share your exuberance with my audience and the folks who follow me online. Tramayne, I am so proud of you. I'm just so proud of your commitment to advancing your career, proud of your commitment to doing the work, right? And proud of your commitment to continuously advocating for yourself and your needs as a professional. We're going to talk about, where we started, how we got here, and help the girls really understand the power and importance of mentorship.
I'm ready.
I'm ready to dive in. So I have a couple of questions I'll be referring to on the screen over here. But feel free to answer these questions fully, truthfully, as transparent as you feel comfortable. But I kind of want to talk about, go back, right, to the beginning of our relationship when you first became aware of me and my work in serving women and helping women make more money and have more impact in their career. Can you talk about, if you can remember, how you first came to learn about me and my work and what made you say
exactly,
I really want to work
because
with
it was
Ashley?
an Instagram like this that made me say, okay, all right, it's time. So you were actually interviewing my good girlfriend, my good Judy, as you know, the fans like to say, for her career success.
Yes.
Tanisha, this was, I think, summer 2000. We've always sort of supported each other's next steps, whatever that was. We applied to grad school at the same time. We both left New York City at the same time. And then when I heard how she was thriving out in Virginia, where she happened to be at the time, all because she did this new career coaching program, I trust her. I trust my girl,
Yeah.
and I trust the results. The numbers that she shared, I was blown away. And so I thought, if it was good enough for Tanisha, it's got to be good enough for me.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And I think that this is why I do these lives. I love coming on live with my mentees, with the women that I serve, and having them share their stories. Because, of course, as a mentor, I can be shouting from the rooftops, this is valuable. You should invest in yourself, believe in yourself. But it's when women get to hear stories from women like you, women who look like them, women that they can relate to, that they're like, okay, this isn't a gimmick. This isn't a game. This is something I really need to prioritize in my life and my career. So I'm so glad that you saw your girlfriend go through the Mentor Me Accelerator. You saw the success that she had, and then you were like, no, absolutely, I have to be a part of this too. I have to get on board. So let's talk about what the most pressing issues that were facing your career at the time that you joined the Mentor Me program. I remember, you coming to me and like, Ashley, I'm in this call center and I feel like my career is all over the place. I feel like I've taken some steps back. So can you just share a bit with the folks who are watching, where you were in your career at the time when you joined?
When I joined the Mentor Me Accelerator, I had just moved I'd been in Charlotte, North Carolina. I moved from New York City. I'd been there for about 2 years or so. I had before I left, I'd gotten my master's degree in corporate communication, and I'd always imagined that I would be this high-powered girl boss, drafting communications plans for the best of the best in the corporate world. And that seemed possible in New York. But then when I moved to Charlotte, that seemed a lot less likely. So to get to Charlotte, a friend hired me at the cable company that she was working for. And it was a good transition. It was a safe place to land, but it was never what I wanted to do. And then after I had found myself there for some years, it had quickly become like my longest held job. And I was dismayed by it. You know, I felt so unfulfilled professionally. And, you know, a lot of the language you used about high achieving women and, you know, just being able to see it for your mentees. I'd always saw that for myself, but couldn't after some time. And so that language like really woke me up. Like, no, I'm still this person, or it's still possible for me to be this woman.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the story that you share is really common, right? So like you know, get your degree and you have some experience and you come out of something, you're like, okay, great, I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm going to be doing this, you know, meaningful work. You have these visions in your head of what you're going to be wearing and what you're going to be driving and how you're going to be moving and shaking in the world. And then, you know, you find yourself relocating or having a life circumstance. And then you're like taking maybe a lower paying, lower impact job that's not really aligned with the things that you want to do in your career. You're like, you know, no worries. I'm only going to be here for 3 months. I'm only going to be here for 6 months, a year tops, and I'm moving on. And then 3 years later, you're like,
3 years later, they're like Tramayne, remember
what
when?
is this? Like,
what?
Why? You're like, am I still here? Is this my life? Like, is this my life right now? Yeah. And so I think that is common, right? And we have all these factors that are, you know, preventing us from moving on. You know, some of us feel like we have to be loyal. Some of us are getting feedback that, you know, you got to stay and pay your dues. Some of us have obligations to family members or, you know, to spouses or loved ones. And you feel like, you know, you got to hang on to this job because this is, you know, the only thing that you can do. And so, I think that what you're experiencing is so common. Thank you so much for your willingness to share that, because I think a lot of women can relate to that. They're feeling like, well, I can't do anything else. There's nothing else available to me. I just have to stay in this, you know, low paying, low impact job. And so like when you were in that space and you're watching my lives online and you're seeing your friend, you know, who had worked with me in mentorship see success, what made you say, you know what, I'm going to invest in myself to get expert level mentorship? What made you shift from like a bystander, you know, watching me and my work online to making the investment?
It was time. You know, I had relied on job search strategies that I figured out on my own when I was a teenager looking for my first job. You know, I thought it was bulk up your resume. You should be good to go from there. And I had been doing the same things for years and getting the same results. You know, sometimes it worked for me, but, you know, especially after I moved out of New York State and then, you know, found myself out of my original industry, I realized like my old tactics definitely weren't working for me. And so you promised a plan, not just a plan, but a strategy, which really spoke to me as a communications professional. So that I could get behind. And it had felt like too long. I had not felt like myself. I had not felt intelligent. I had not felt like excitement, a spark or anything, but you brought that back to me. You gave me that glimmer of hope. And I mean, like I'm a mom. I was a single mom. You know, working full time in a job that I hated. You know, it was really hard to hold on to yourself. And I know I lost a lot of myself during that time, but I connected to that, you know, being a high achieving woman and having always seen myself that way.
Yeah. Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Like, I'm honored. I always say I'm honored to serve you, Tramayne. I'm honored to serve all the women that I serve. But you in particular came to me with just a full heart. Like you were like, Ashley, like I'm not even myself right now. In this job, I'm not even myself. And, you know, for those of you who are not familiar with Tramayne's story, you know, I helped her transition from a role that was primarily sales, right? Like kind of frontline customer sales to a role fully in marketing, right? And she has degrees and experience in marketing, but was really having trouble making the shift from a sales job and a job where she wasn't thriving, wasn't really feeling like herself, to a marketing role. So I kind of want to talk about, you know, if you can reflect on some of the specific strategies, Tramayne, give the girls the insider, right? Some of the specific strategies that you learned in the Mentor Me Accelerator that maybe, let's start with mindset, right? Let's just start with how you thought about yourself, how you thought about your skill set. Are there some specific mindset strategies that you remember us working through to help you shift your mindset first, you know, before we even got to the career development strategy,
for sure.
to think about your career?
So some background. I don't think I really got clear on that, but my background and expertise is in communications. My undergrad degree is in communication and rhetorical studies. I have a master's degree in corporate communication. And though I'd worked in external public relations roles, around the time I had my son, I had some challenges getting back to work in that field specifically. So I bounced around a lot. I was going to say a little bit, but it was a lot. But now I'm back working full time in a communications role. And I think my mindset shift was probably the most impactful and the most necessary. Your exercise, I thought, we jump right into working on my resume, but the first 2 weeks of working together, we're talking about things like values and mindset. And I was like, what is this lady talking about? I need money.
You're like, give me the goods. I don't want to talk about my feelings.
But that was so important, and I think that was the first time that I had really considered what it meant to be like a whole employee or like a whole person and be my whole self at work. I always thought it was just about the job and what like I had to bring in order to get just money in return. But it helped me realize that a certain environment, a certain manager, certain responsibilities really help bring out the best in me, help me do my best at work, and help me get more than, the tangible rewards. That was a real eye opener for me. It really helped when I started to open up my job search. I think then actually having the strategy for job hunting was super important. Up until now, it had always been a last minute stretch, or like when something really pissed me off at work, now I need to find a job, or like I'm applying in between like doing tasks at work. And it wasn't something that I devoted my full self to, but I wanted the full results. And so your strategy was to, set dedicated time once a week, twice a week, however, as long as it led up to that intentional time to work on job searching. That was powerful, to have to devote the time to myself. That was foreign in and of itself.
Yeah. And I think that that's true for a lot of moms, right? Like you're doing, momming in between job searching, in between working a job that you hate, in between trying to be a good partner, in between trying to be a good friend, in between trying to grow your faith and connect with other believers. Like you're doing a million things. And, one of the things that's key about the Mentor Me Accelerator program is that we start with mindset. So we're going to start about how you think, how you approach your career development, what you think about yourself and your skill set. We start with something that's called skill articulation, or your ability to speak to your expertise in a way that's really going to make employers take notice. We start with skill articulation and speaking to your expertise, because when you're able to speak to it out loud, not only does it help employers see you as a valued asset, but you're changing the way you see yourself. You're speaking life and expertise and value into yourself. So you're showing up as more of an expert, even as you're engaging with employers. And so it is that mindset shift that in your experience is common, Tramayne. It's like, oh, girl, like just, teach me how to, do a salary negotiation and update these materials and I'm ready to go. And I'm like, no, baby, we need a backup. What are you even good at? What are you not good at? What do you value? What do you care about? What guides your decision making, right? There's so much work that we need to do there so that when we get to job search strategy, you can actually apply it and you're not doubting yourself and doubting your skill sets and doubting your ability to drive results in your career. And I'm so glad that you were able to talk about both the mindset and the strategy piece. And so one of the things that we really worked on, Tramayne, and so I kind of want to get into this with you, was really helping you speak to your expertise in marketing, even though you were not currently in a marketing role, right? We went back, right? We went back in the resume and looked at, internships and volunteer work, just, kind of pro bono work that you were doing. Can you talk about, the intentional work that we did on your materials and your skill articulation to help employers see you as a valued asset in an industry that you weren't working in at the time?
I think it took a lot of reminding myself that I actually had the experience and the expertise. And Ashley, I know you were so frustrated with me a lot. You were, Tramayne, you've already done this. You've done this. You're not even saying exactly all that you've done. You're just saying, posted a couple links on social media. Did you not design the whole strategy?
I'm like, Tramayne, how many impressions did you have? Did you not say that you designed 16 newsletters and had a 30% open rate and a 16%, new client? You were yeah, I did. Okay. I'm like, girl.
So, I had a lot of experience, in a lot of different areas, from nonprofit to corporate, to entrepreneurship. And I thought you really helped me package it all together and share that it was like, you know, not just jobs that I've had, but this is how I've built my expertise, but like I've lived it, I've breathed it. That was super important. And having not had opportunities to, I feel like, discuss my skills, even though I was still using, you also helped me identify that I was still using a lot of my skills, even though I wasn't in a traditional communications role. And that was also eye-opening to me. That helped me rebuild my confidence, thinking, oh, well, you know, I'm not working in communication, so it doesn't count, but it absolutely counted. And one of the first activities we did was an I am statement. And that, I struggled with that one, but once we got it together, and I think when I sent you my first draft, you were like, Tramayne, this is it. And quite honestly, that was what I repeated in my interviews to land my current job.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I think that the I am statement, sometimes it can feel a little frou-frou, like an elevator pitch or, you know, a statement that you put in your LinkedIn. But really what I'm trying to do is, like you said, Tramayne, remind you of your expertise. I'm an expert at mining all the good things that you've done over the course of your career and bringing them up and elevating them and helping high achieving professional women see their expertise in a meaningful way, right? I'm very clear about the fact that everybody can't get into my programs. I screen everybody who comes across my desk. Why? Because I'm committed to helping high achieving professional women use what they already have, the skills, the knowledge, the talent, the expertise, the degrees, credentials, and you have it. And so many women who might be watching this have it too, right? But because you've been in a role where you've been undervalued, where you say, like, I'm not even using my brain, you kind of end up in a space where you don't feel valued, where you don't feel like you have expertise, where you don't feel like you're doing anything meaningful, where you don't feel like you're driving impact. And so you've let those feelings be a wet blanket over the really impactful things that you're doing. My job is to remove the wet blanket, pop us up, and really help us elevate the impact that we're having in the industries that we are in or that we desire to be in. And so, yeah, we did a lot of work on that, both, you know, your skill articulation, on your materials, on your LinkedIn, on your cover letters. And one of the things that I want to talk about next is, like, you know, I talk about the fact that, you know, Mentor Me programs drive results. About 87% of the women who join my programs find and secure a new role, making a minimum of a $25,000 salary increase within 8 weeks, right? But your job search took a little longer than 8 weeks, right? It took a little bit beyond the initial program container. Can you talk a little bit, you know, can you speak to the woman who's watching this and is like, well, you know, I feel like it might take longer for me, or, you know, is it really going to work for me? Can you speak to the woman, you know, or even speak to yourself where you were in week 10 when it was like, okay, Ashley, I ain't got the job yet. Can you kind of speak life into that and even, you know, like reflect on how I was still supporting you, you know, even beyond the initial container?
Gosh, I'm going to try to keep it together. You know, during the time I finished the original Accelerator program, so I signed up and I was committed to the program. I just was wrapping up and was ready to really dive in. You know, I didn't have the job at the time, but I was a little confident that I was going to find one still. But then life happened and I ended up in a pretty severe depression. And it was hard. It was a very hard period of my life. And I was in such a bad place. Like I needed everybody's support. And I had Ashley schedules a 30-day follow-up call, and I knew I had nothing to tell her because I hadn't been looking for a job. I hadn't even been eating. I hadn't been sleeping. Looking for a job was the last thing on my mind. But I kept the call. I don't know why. I decided to keep the call, and I was just going to tell her. I was going to tell her the truth, and I had to because I was crying the entire call. And I was so embarrassed because, okay, it was over a boy. And I don't want to just diminish it because that was a painful time. But, you know, we're talking about work and we're high achieving women. Forget these boys. Like, here I'm talking to my career mentor and telling her, like, I'm ready to give it all up because somebody hurt my feelings. And Ashley was like, look, it happens. And I was like, well, I was expecting what I was telling myself, you know, shame and beat up. You know, you can't be a high achieving woman if you cry. God. But I didn't get that from you. And, you know, we worked together in this capacity. You know, you didn't know me, you know, personally, or you don't know everything I've been through. But to have you show up for me with such compassion and even sharing some of your own stories about some your friendship breakups and, tough times, and just being able to overcome it. And you told me, look, take a break if you need to. I'll be there for you. I'll be here. We'll pick up. And it took some time, but I did reach out to you again. And your recommendation, I was like, look, Ashley, I've been here. I haven't been doing anything. It's not you. The program's great. It's me. I haven't been working the plan. And you said, I get it. So we talked about where I was, and we said, you know what, let's start over. You've been through this big experience, this big event. You're a new woman. Let's treat you as a new woman. And that compassion, that understanding was so necessary at the time, and something that I never thought would be possible for me as a woman, a Black woman in a workspace. I always try to show up as tough girl. Yeah. I got it all under control. And, I didn't at the time. And to be met where I was so freeing. And it really helped move me forward in a way that I couldn't have done on my own.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I just really appreciate your vulnerability. You didn't have to get into all of your business, but I appreciate your willingness to do so, because life is happening, right? You trying to, make more money, you trying to have more impact, and life is like, bop, 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 bop. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that sometimes women feel like they got to get their life together before they invest in career development. They got to get their life together before they prioritize their career. They got to get their life together before they focus on making more money and having more impact. And I'm always like, girl, we spend so much time at work. We invest so much energy in our careers. The pathway to getting your life together is often through getting your career together. It's often through, committing to advancing your career. And because I am a woman, because I am a Black woman, because I am a compassionate Black woman, I see you, Tramayne, and I see each of the women that I serve as individual women that I'm committed to serving. And of course, I run a business, like I, have a container for which my programs are, but I'm not blind to the fact that life is happening, right? And I'm here to serve my mentees holistically, in any capacity that I can. And so I'm just glad that, if nothing else from, me early on in the program, you knew to advocate for yourself. You knew to continue to show up for yourself. And every time you showed up for yourself, I showed up for you. So I thank you for sharing that story, and thank you for allowing me to be compassionate to you. Thank you for not shrieking, not hiding, not canceling the call, right? Like, I can imagine you're like, okay, I was in this girl program and I was supposed to find a new job, and I did not. I've been doing the work.
Even tell her it's her. It's
like,
me.
Let me just cancel it. And right, it's just how Taylor Swift, I'm the problem, it's me, right? Like, you're like, it's me, but you came full heart, right? Like I said, to that call, I was like, Ashley, I'm struggling. And I was right there to support you. So I thank you for telling that story and allowing me, right, to leverage my own compassion for women to serve you well. So now let's get to the good stuff, right? Let's get to this $18,000 plus salary increase, transitioning from sales to marketing, this new role. Tell me about, how you leverage the strategies from the Mentor Me Accelerator program in your search in this specific role. What was coming up for you while you were looking at this role, when you initially applied for this role, when you were going on the interview process for this role? Can you speak to some of the strategies that you were leveraging in your search process for this role? I wanted
to look for an internal communications role. And my primary experience had been in external communications. And then having had worked in several different industries, I didn't always have traditional communications, well, solely communications responsibilities. So that sort of seemed like it took a backseat to the majority of my time in that particular role. And so I didn't think that I had enough. I didn't think I had enough to search with.
Yeah.
But one of your strategies, Ashley, was using the 70% rule. And if you can do at least 70% of the tasks, if you have done it, or if you have the expertise in it, you're totally okay to apply. And when I really started looking through the jobs that I wanted to apply through that lens, that really opened up my possibilities. I was thinking I had to start completely over. I had to look for entry-level roles or roles with 1 to 2 years experience, when I had way more than that.
Yes, you did.
And I think learning how to package and articulate my skills. One thing that was coming up for me, I'd been in my sales role the longest, and I thought, well, how do I transition from communications to sales? Well, sales is the result of good communications. And so being able, and one thing I
Yes, it is.
love about you in the program, Ashley, you always speak to the results. Like, this is the exact number. I'm guaranteeing the increase. That you always, we're tracking and measuring, because this is a process, and we're looking for a solid result. And so being able to add that to my resume and being able to speak confidently to it, like, no, I didn't fluff any of this. This is what I do.
Yes.
You know, that changed things. And then so for this role, I didn't know what the interview process would entail, but it ended up being 3 interviews. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, oh my God, how much more can they ask me? I only had the 3 jobs.
What you all possibly have.
But we went through interview prep, you know, and the questions that you asked were applicable to plenty of industries. And I remember during one of our sessions saying, you know, I've only worked in communications, or I'm only looking for communications roles. How can I talk about diversity and equity or advocacy? And just being able to talk through it, you know, and help me jog my memories of my own expertise and being able to apply it during the interviews. And I think, you know, obviously made me a standout candidate.
Yes, it made you a standout candidate, obviously. Yeah, and I think that is the power of mentorship, right? So we know our expertise, we know our industry, we know the work that we've been doing, but we don't always have the language, right? We don't always have the language to speak to our expertise in a meaningful way, or to make ourselves stand out as a candidate, right? An employer, of course, is looking for someone to do this specific job to solve this specific problem, but they're also looking at the candidate holistically. What other things can you bring to this organization? What other skill sets do you have outside of this core role that can help us advance our initiatives, right? And I was able to help you through that, particularly because, if you'll remember, because I teach in small group, right? So there were peers in the program who were in those marketing roles that you wanted, right? So they were able to give you feedback too. And so I think that that's the real power of mentorship. It's not just, you know, helping you update your materials or, you know how to speak the lingo, but it's also a community of high achieving professional women who can help you elevate as well, because they're maybe in the roles that you desire to be in, or they're the hiring managers at other organizations, or they're at a peer level where they can talk to you about that too. So thank you for running through that. I think that is outstanding. And I want you to speak to the fulfilling experience you have in your career. I know that in your prior role, you were feeling underworked, you know, or overworked and underpaid and undervalued. You didn't really feel fulfilled in the role. Can you talk about, you know, how fulfilled you feel in your current role, and how, you know, this role and securing this role has really helped you elevate how you feel about yourself?
I can say that I happily spent the weekend up late working. Didn't even feel like work. Yeah. You know, that cliche. I always used to roll my eyes when people said that, but it's true. Stayed up into the wee hours of the night working on something, and had to hold myself back because I wanted to text my coworker this new logo that I designed. And I was like, she's going to yell at me, because she's like, Tramayne, it's our day off. She's very particular about reminding me to practice self-care, which I appreciate. Yes. But I just I feel smart. I feel like life is back on track, as if all of everything that I've been through, everything that I've planned is finally coming to fruition, and the journey makes sense now. To have the flexibility that I have now, I'd never imagined. We did an exercise in the beginning of, you know, what your perfect day is, your perfect work day is. And I talked about the flexibility to, you know, be restful, you know, to wake up and go to work and, you know, take meetings, or then have the rest of the day to be creative, to come home and spend time with my family. And I have that now. You know, my son got sick, and I just stayed home. I just worked from home. You know, there was no begging, no pleading, no crying, no thinking about future vacations I can't take because I have to use the time now. But now that I have the flexibility to work from home, and the support from management, you know, I work with a team of women. I'm not the only mother. I'm not the only single mother. So everybody's super compassionate. You know, we started the meeting talking about, you know, my experience when, you know, you have to go from mommy to janitor the night before. You know, and they wanted to know, you know, this is with my division director asking, how's your son? Is he feeling okay? Let us know if you need to jump. We'll fill you in later. And I was gobsmacked. Like, there are people who care about me in addition to the work, you know, at so many other companies,
Yeah.
the work has always been priority to the point where it's hard to feel like you bring any value besides getting the work done, and you know, to be seen for a whole person. That's it's been wonderful. It makes me feel great giving more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that your story is a reminder that that's possible for people, right? A lot of times people get in a situation where it's like, oh, you know, that's not possible for me. You know, in this industry, you can't do that. You know, in this field, you can't do that. At my level, you can't do that. In my state, you know, I live in the South. So you can't, I mean, like, there's all these misnomers about, you know, well, you can't do that because, or this industry doesn't work like that. But your story, Tramayne, your story is proof positive that the things that you desire for your life and for your career are possible for you, right? They are possible for you. The flexibility that you desire, it's possible. The compassion that you desire, it's possible. The salary that you desire, it's possible. Those things are possible and available for you and to you. And your story is proof positive of that. And so as we close out today's live, can you speak to the woman who's on the fence, for the woman who's been watching my live after live after live, and they're like, yeah, I don't know if it's for me. Yeah, I don't know if I can afford the investment. Yeah, I don't know if in this economy it'll work. Can you speak to her and just, you know, share your perspective on the importance and power of—
Girl, do it. I was just like you. I was on the fence. And even though I know that Ashley did it for my girl, Tanisha, I didn't really think she could do it for me. I was hopeful, but I didn't really think it. But here I am, proof positive. And, you know, yes, it's an investment to, you know, take your career to the next level. I mean, but we invest in our education. We do these 2-day workshops, and we travel to conferences. It's absolutely worth it to invest in someone, a dedicated professional who is essentially, you know, going to hold your hand and lead you through the process and to some outstanding results. You know, I made the initial investment and I thought, Tramayne, this is crazy to invest in your career. But when I got that job offer, when I got that offer letter with that $18,000 salary increase, I thought I would do this 3 times over.
Yes, I mean, at an $18,000 salary increase, Tramayne, you more than quadrupled your investment, right? I mean, like time after time after time after time, you got more than 4 times the investment you invested in the Mentor Me Accelerator program to begin with. There is no other return on investment like mentorship. I mean, just think about it. The degree, the bachelor's degree and master's degree you got, you paid thousands of dollars of that, probably still paying on some of them, not you specifically, but people are still paying on them, right? And you not getting that level of return on investment. The Mentor Me Accelerator works, and it works fast. It's an accelerated program for that very specific reason. And I love that you talked about the fact that the return on the investment, like when I got that $18,000 salary increase, I was like, oh, I should have did this sooner. Oh, I would do this 2 and 3 times over again. I mean, that is the power of mentorship. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for speaking life into that. Tramayne and I can maybe stay on for another 5 minutes or so to answer questions. If anyone's watching live, has questions, you know, wants to ask Tramayne about her experience transitioning from sales to marketing, wants to ask me about the mentorship programs, feel free to type your questions in the chat. If you want to just celebrate Tramayne in her new role, feel free to drop some emojis just celebrating her. We're so proud of her, so excited for her. And just so in a celebratory mood to just honor your commitment to doing the work and driving results. I know one of the questions that often comes up is, you know, how much time do I get from Ashley? Like, am I going to actually be in front of her? Is it just going to be other people in there coaching? Is it just going to be templates? Can you talk about the time you and I really spent together, Tramayne, and like, you know, working on your materials, working on your skill articulation, working on preparing you for interviews? Can you talk about like, you know, our specific relationship?
So we had
and how much
weekly
time we spent
sessions,
together?
and then you offered office hours once a week that I took advantage of, you know, where I could just jump in and ask a quick, well, they never were quick questions, but ask what I thought would be a quick question and really get some more personalized attention. But being able to work in small groups was just as impactful. I think you're very skilled at guiding discussions, and like you said, mining the benefits, and being able to help each other through our experiences was so incredible. You know, we truly were a community. And then, you know, you're always available by email. You know, after I when I got the offer letter, I think I had just completed the program, but still reached out because you say, you're my mentor always, and you've lived up to it.
I am. Yeah, that's true. Like my mentor, like I never let them go. I'm always just an email away. And so, yes, I remember, Tramayne, when I got that email from you, you're like, Ashley, I got the job. They offered me even more than I wanted, but should I still negotiate? And my answer was, we always negotiate, Tramayne. I don't care what they offered you, you're going to ask for more. And so we were
and
on
they
that.
gave it to me, and I was like, oh my
$5,000.
God, I can't ask. How can I ask for more? This is already too much. I mean, it could be a little bit more, but you were just like, yeah. And imagine if I did it, I would have left that money on the table.
And you got just what you asked for.
We don't do that.
Period. I'm just so thrilled that we had the opportunity to have this conversation. Tramayne, thank you for your time and your willingness to share your story. I want to share with everyone who's watching this that I am accepting new mentees. And so if you are a professional woman who works in corporate, nonprofit, or educational leadership, and you're looking to make more money and have more impact, if you heard Tramayne's story and you're like, this is powerful, this is what I want. Like, I want that relationship with a mentor. I want someone who can help guide me in my career. I want, to have a fulfilling career. I want to transition industries. If any of that is aligned with your desires, I invite you into mentorship. I'm accepting new mentees right now. You can go right to my website at mentor-me.org. That's mentor-me.org to schedule a call with me. This week I have some availability. I'm accepting new mentees, so I look forward to serving you. Tramayne, thank you so much for attending today's live. So grateful for you. And I look forward to, yes, you are welcome. I'm so proud of you, so happy to serve you. And as I always say, I'm not just your mentor in session, I'm your mentor always. I'm here to continue to support you in your career development.
Bye.
Thanks, Tramayne.